Following the events narrated in Die Walküre, we find Brünnhilde in a deep slumber on a rock encircled by flames. Her father, the god Wotan, after taking the painful decision to punish her severely, has been wandering around the world in the guise of the traveller, a mere onlooker to the happenings he himself has unleashed. Sieglinde, who was saved by Brünnhilde after the death of Siegmund, and who escaped Wotan's wrath by hiding in the wood where Fafner lived, has died after giving birth to Siegfried. Before her death, she entrusted the child and the secret of his birth to Mime, the Nibelung who forged the ring and who was dominated and mistreated by his brother Alberich. The giant Fafner has turned himself into a dragon and is guarding the ring and the treasure in a cave in the wood. Alberich is awaiting the opportunity to retrieve the ring if someone can remove it from the dragon's custody. Loge, who appeared as a demigod in the prologue, is now omnipresent in the form of fire, surrounding the sleeping Brünnhilde. Mime is in his smithy trying to forge a sword for Siegfried, who was entrusted to him as a child by Sieglinde before she died. Siegfried, now a strong, handsome young man, arrives with a bear. He's on friendly terms with the animal, but it's evident that he hates Mime, whom he believes to be his father. Mime reprimands him for his lack of affection. Siegfried asks him why, if animals resemble their parents, he is so different from the Nibelung. He persists until Mime is forced to reveal that Siegfried's true parents were Siegmund and Sieglinde. To prove he's telling the truth, Mime brings him the 2 pieces of the sword Nothung, which Sieglinde left with him. Siegfried listens with growing enthusiasm, and after ordering Mime to repair his father's sword immediately, he leaves to return to the wood. Wotan, who since losing his dominion over the world through ambition has been leading a wandering life, appears in the guise of the traveller. In the so-called riddle scene, Wotan challenges Mime to pose him a series of questions. The Nibelung asks him which race inhabits the bowels of the earth, which lives on the surface, and which in the clouds. Wotan promptly gives the right answers, the Nibelungs, the giants, and the gods, respectively. They play the game in reverse, and the god asks Mime to name the race that Wotan loves, though he treats it harshly. Mime names the Volsungs. To tell him the name of the sword Siegfried must use to fight the dragon, Mime refers to Nothung, and to say who will succeed in repairing it. At this last question, the Nibelung is disconcerted and frightened, but the music responds with Siegfried's motif, and Wotan adds that only a fearless hero can successfully repair the sword. When Mime is left alone, he becomes delirious and sees himself surrounded by flames and devoured by Fafner. Siegfried reappears, concerned about repairing the sword. Mime tries to frighten him so that Wotan's predictions cannot be fulfilled. However, Siegfried is not afraid of the beasts of the forest, and he's likewise undaunted by the reference to the dragon who guards the ring and the treasure near the hut. In his impatience, Siegfried decides to weld the sword himself. He invokes Nothung 4 times, and when it takes shape, sings an exuberant victory song. In the meantime, Mime decides to prepare some poison with which to kill Siegfried when he's slain the dragon. Once the sword is complete, Siegfried brings it crashing down on the anvil on which it's been forged, and the anvil is split in 2. Fafner, in the form of a dragon, is dozing in his cave while Alberich lies in wait outside, with the secret intention of recovering the property he considers his own. Wotan arrives, still disguised as the traveller. They immediately recognize one another, and a tense, hostile dialogue ensues, in which they exchange accusations and rebukes. Although Wotan assures Alberich that he no longer wishes to intervene, he warns him about his brother Mime, who's trying to get the young Siegfried to kill the dragon in order to further his own interests. He foretells the death of Fafner, and tries to rouse the dragon to warn him of the impending danger. But Fafner refuses to listen to the intruders. The traveller mocks Alberich before moving on, leaving the Nibelung to predict again the downfall of the gods. Mime and Siegfried arrive with Nothung. The young man petulantly rejects the dwarf's attempts to intimidate him. Then he's left alone and lies down under a lime tree. He muses on what his parents were like, then tries to understand the song of a bird, and makes a pipe out of a reed to imitate it, but only succeeds in producing strange sounds. He blows his horn loudly, attracting the attention of the ferocious dragon, who savagely provokes him. A cruel battle ensues, from which Siegfried emerges victorious, after plunging his sword into the dragon's heart. But before he dies, Fafnir warns the hero against Mime. As Siegfried pulls his sword from the dragon's body, its blood stains his hands. This enables him to understand the bird's song, which tells him that he's the owner not merely of the treasure, but of a wonderful helmet as well, and a ring which makes him the master of the world. Siegfried triumphantly enters the cave. Mime and Alberich quarrel bitterly over their respective rights to the treasure, previously in Fafnir's custody. Alberich hides, and as Siegfried comes out of the cave, the bird warns him that Mime, who's assumed a protective, affectionate air, has evil intentions. Despite the dwarf's lies, the magic of the dragon's blood enables the young man to read his true thoughts. He realizes that Mime intends to make him swallow a potion and then kill him with the sword. As Siegfried plunges his sword into the Nibelung's heart, Alberich's sardonic laugh rings out. Siegfried lies down again to rest under the lime tree, and tells the bird of his loneliness as an orphan without siblings or friends. The bird tells him about Brunhilde, who's sleeping in a ring of fire while she awaits the fearless hero who's to come and release her. Siegfried discovers the feeling of love, and sets out in search of his beloved, guided by the bird. At the foot of the rugged mountain where Brunhilde is sleeping in her circle of fire, the traveller invokes the goddess Erda to ask her advice. Erda possesses the wisdom of the ages, and it was with her that Wotan sired the Norns and the Valkyries. Erda rises up from the earth, and when Wotan tells her how he punished Brunhilde, she reproaches him harshly. But Wotan tells her that he intends to relinquish his place to the son of the Volsungs, who will save Brunhilde and redeem the world. Siegfried joins them, and a long conversation takes place which signals the decline of the gods and the ascent of the hero. Siegfried starts by giving Wotan an account of all that has brought him here, but when Wotan tries to dissuade him from going to wake the Valkyrie, Siegfried realizes that he is the powerful personage who has punished his own daughter. When Siegfried also realizes that the spear with which the traveller tries to bar his way is the very one which shattered his father's sword, he hurls himself upon it and breaks it in two. Wotan, unperturbed, picks up the two pieces and leaves, while Siegfried walks towards the mountain-top to release his beloved. As he reaches the summit, he discovers a figure he thinks is a sleeping warrior, and begins gently to remove its armour. On discovering that it's not a man, he's seized for the first time by amazement and fear, and feels an unknown, burning emotion. He rouses the Valkyrie with a passionate kiss, and as Brunhilde recovers consciousness, the first vibrant exchange takes place between the two lovers. The hero is unable to comprehend the complexities of the Valkyrie's past, when, in the face of his growing passion, Brunhilde is overcome by feelings of guilt and bewails the loss of her status as a virgin warrior. Ultimately, possessed by love, she accepts her human condition and surrenders to passion. The final love duet, though joyful and exultant, reveals the disparity between the new world envisaged by Siegfried and the one envisaged by Brunhilde, the daughter of the gods who are approaching their downfall.